Palumbo with an RxMuscle news update. The IFBB British Grand Prix is in the bag now. Nathan De Asha, as predicted, has emerged victorious. And it was a really close battle, but in a sense, it really wasn't close. It was good because we had a two-man show at the end. But Nathan De Asha has just, proved why he is a top Olympian competitor, why he is considered one of the guys that could be the future of this sport, assuming he stays healthy. He looked probably his best we've seen him as far as conditioning goes. It looks like his mass is all there. He made improvements. His posing is good. And he really gave the British fans a real treat because, how often do you get to see an Olympian competitor competing at a regular event? The British Grand Prix had been gone a couple of years. This was an event that was huge. I mean, this was a show that was always held right after the Mr. Olympia. This was a show that Dorian would do every year. And as Mr. Olympia, usually the Mr. Olympias don't go to the European tour after, but Dorian would always go back to Great Britain, do his post-Olympia show, and then, pack it in for the year. So this was a big show that was used to getting big names, and for it to be gone, it was kind of sad in a way. Bob Ciccarello and his team over there brought it back, and I think it's a great idea. And I like the fact that it's not after the Olympia as an afterthought anymore. It's kind of like one of the last few qualifiers for the Mr. Olympia. And it really gives bragging rights, I guess, if you're a British bodybuilder, to do this show and say, hey, I'm the British champion. And Nathan is from the UK, obviously. He can now say he's the best British bodybuilder out there, although I'm sure Luke Sandow would have something to say about that. And I did see Luke up on stage giving the awards out there and hitting a couple shots with those guys. So it's all going to be in fun, and I'm going to see these guys at the Olympia battling it out. Obviously, Luke placing third at the Arnold. Now we'll be, battling it out with Nathan on that Olympia stage. And of course, we had another, we had some other really good, I should say, British bodybuilders also in this lineup. But let's talk about the show, because Nathan was really battling it out with someone that we didn't really think that would be up there in this lineup, and that is Samson Dauda. This is a guy who I don't know that much about, in terms of, we don't see him on a regular basis. I don't think people expected him to be in that top two group. He's got tremendous structure, very similar to Nathan's in a sense, small waist, great conditioning up there, not quite as big as Nathan, not quite as structurally as good as Nathan, and not quite as maybe, ripped to the bone as Nathan, but close enough to give him a nice push and to have those judges call these two out mano a mano there, pose for pose, evaluating them to see who was going to emerge as the next British champion. So I think that this was a good show for Nathan. I think it was a smart move for him. It's close enough to the Olympia now. He can take a little breather for a week or two and then get right into his Olympia prep and be ready for the Olympia rather than be distracted. Sometimes these guys compete in the beginning of the year. They get distracted. They don't really, put 100% in. Nathan's ready now. All he has to do is coast into the show. He can eat up a little bit. He can take some time and then really redial it in, re-peak himself for the Olympia. Hopefully he'll stay, nice and injury-free, and we'll see him up there. And now, you got to remember, Samson Dauda here, really, he puts out a stamp on the fact that, hey, look, I'm here to stay. He says, I beat James Hollingshead, who finishes third here. He beats Milan Shodek, who finishes fourth here. So, these are quality guys who are, really at the top of their game. And so, coming in here, beating those guys, putting them in his rearview mirror, battling it out with Nathan for the win really raises his stock. And I have to believe, if he's a smart guy, he's going to compete again before the Olympia and try to qualify for the Olympia. I'd like to see him in Tampa, or maybe if the Lebanon show goes off, see him over in Lebanon as well. At this point, he should hit every show he's got to hit so that he can try to get points to get to that Olympia. He's got a structure to stand on the Olympia stage. Is he big enough yet? I think he needs probably another 5 to 7 pounds of muscle on his frame to really be competitive. But hey, this is a guy who now, made a name for himself at this show. Don't just let that fizzle out. Do a couple more shows, possibly snag a win, and qualify for the Olympia, go there, and then let people talk about you as a potential guy next year to really step it up and be a force to be reckoned with. So I think this British Grand Prix was as expected. the Nathan De Asha show, but the fact that it's back now, I think next year we're going to see an even better lineup. More people are going to do the show. Just of note, Zack Khan was in this lineup. He did make his comeback. I think that it's going to take another year for Zack to really focus, put a little more size back on, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give 100% to bodybuilding, and when I come back next year, I'm going to be my absolute best. We will get him on RxMuscle.com. I promise you that, for an interview. Find out everything that went on leading up to this show and how much time he actually prepared for it, and see what his future plans are. For now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo with another RxMuscle news update.